Louise Claire Johnson's book, Behind the Red Door, is a biography meets memoir about Elizabeth Arden, the woman behind the makeup company.
She moved to New York in 1908. I moved to New York in 2008. So it's kind of our dual narratives in the beauty industry 100 years apart. And it's me following in her footsteps, so to speak. And the only reason that I'm truly in this book is to highlight how much has changed and how much has not changed for women in the workplace, in the beauty industry, a century later.
She was captivated by Arden's story when she moved to Manhattan for a marketing internship at the age of 18.
I was just excited to move to New York and work in marketing. I didn't know anything about the beauty industry, and I didn't know anything about the woman behind the company. But the more I uncovered about her, she's Canadian from outside of Toronto. She was the wealthiest woman in the world for 3 decades, and no one knows. And she was the first woman on the cover of Time magazine. And these accolades, they just got lost in the cracks of history. So as I worked for the company, I felt compelled to share her narrative with the rest of the world because it felt like this hidden gem, this lost narrative of a woman who had accomplished so much. And I wondered why her story faded from public consciousness. So that's what propelled me to dive deep into the research and write this book. And I really did truly look at her as a role model and an inspiration. And as cliche as that sounds, I wanted to be her. But as you'll discover in the book, kind of the underlying theme is going behind the facade, behind the makeup we put on our faces, behind the personas that we portray to the world. Who are we really underneath? And Elizabeth Arden had a lot of struggles in her era. She was expected to have children and be a dutiful wife, but she wanted to work in a man's world.
Decades apart, both Arden and Johnson struggled with identity issues.
I think because for women, although a lot has changed, Elizabeth didn't even have the right to vote. She couldn't get a credit card to take out a loan to start her own business. She wasn't allowed to wear pants. Those kinds of women's feminist suffragette issues, although we've achieved leaps and bounds since then, a lot of underlying struggles with identity really haven't shifted. I mean, even when I worked there, my boss was coming back from a 6-week maternity leave in 3 weeks and was pumping in a janitor's closet. It's systems created by men for men, and women are trying to adapt. So I think there's also this struggle of what society expects of us, but what we deep down want to achieve for ourselves. But it's in a system that doesn't always allow us to excel. So we're making incredible strides, but I think we can look to Elizabeth Arden's story as we celebrate Women's History Month and really kind of assess, have we achieved a lot? What do we still have to gain?
Johnson's participating in a virtual author discussion with MP Pam Demoff on October 29th at Different Drummer Books in Burlington. Reporting for Halton News, I'm Nikki Wesley.